Welcome, dear readers, to Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read. By yours truly. My name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
And what do we have in store for our readers this week?
Today's book is by Lisanne Norman, Between Darkness and Light.
Oh, it's a cracker.
Page turner, totally.
Aren't all books technically page turners?
Well, yes, but sometimes you turn them faster than the others.
Is that maybe
It also
like...
depends on the typeface and the size of the pages.
Yes,
and
of course,
all kinds of
there are large face, but is it like, if you don't turn the pages, you're not reading the book, is kind of what I'm saying.
So it's a book that invites continuing to read.
But what about a book, hey, I'm just trying to keep an open mind to different writing styles. What about a book that really, really invites you to savor it?
Oh, a slow page turner.
Yeah.
I suppose.
I'm thinking, not to actually become a literary review podcast or anything like that, but I'm thinking of House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski.
I don't think I've read that.
Well, it's a weird sort of horror book that also plays with typography and typesetting.
Oh, I think I've heard you mention that.
Yeah, and as the secondary, third level protagonist, it's multiple framing narrative.
Yeah.
Their minds deteriorates. The pages become full of just lists printed sideways and long ways and upside down. And yeah, it's a list of architects and a list of this and a list of that. And I spent ages and ages just reading all of them, trying to see if there was like a code or a puzzle in there.
Yes.
And then, spoiler alert. And then you turn a page and there's a black square, and I screamed and I dropped the book. It was so scary. Just so surprised.
You just got yourself so deep into the mind of that character that you suddenly went like, oh, it's...
So that's also possible, that you're really savoring it. Or I had that with Ted Chiang's A Story of You and Others. The film Arrival was based on one of his short stories. That's A Story of You. Yeah, so you could have, page lingerers. Oh, that's a nice one.
Page lingerer as opposed to page turners, as opposed to threw it in a pile somewhere and never going to finish it, actually.
You ever take a book off that pile?
Yeah, I have. It's like when you go back to the years. Usually there's something about the book that I'm reminded of and I want to go and show it to someone, and then I have to dig through it and find the quote that I was looking for or something like that.
Hey, look at us actually becoming a literary review and book reading podcast.
We've gone wrong somewhere.
Our readers at home must be so confused.
Are they maybe even listening to the right podcast? No, I can assure you this is still Cover My Ass, and this week's book is a courtroom drama.
Ah, that's right.
Yes. Objection. Daytime TV star Romula DeDeridex is mistaken for the galaxy's brightest adjudicator and kidnapped to mediate between two galactic empires, literally cats and dogs, vying for the custody of their recently discovered ancestral homeworld. With the threat of war looming overhead, Romula must come to grips with the complexities and seductions of Space Court.
And if you look down at your podcasting device, you should be seeing the cover of today's book. And otherwise, you can check out the show notes or the website, covermyasscast.com, for an image and a link. Yeah, so on the cover, it's kind of a bold composition where the entire top half is largely brown. And then you have sort of a window view screen area where a stern-looking humanoid, tusked, long-haired, blue-lit alien figure in a tunic and a torque and holding a dagger gazes out, while in front of the screen there's a desk where Romula DeDeridex is sitting there in her spandex adjudicator's costume, and one of the other alien lawyers in his lawyer's tunic is arguing the case.
Yeah, I'd say that the artist here is better at drawing humans than at drawing furries, because
she looks great, right?
She looks great. The other two, not so much.
Well, maybe that's just what the aliens look like.
I suppose.
There's an obvious scaling problem.
Well, one of them is huge, and the other one is kind of slim, and then she is kind of,
Yeah, and it's the red maned one that's closer, has a bit of a wonky head.
Oh, I don't know. Look at that jaw. It's like a super super sharp chin.
Yes.
And then weird,
it's a straight up mandible.
I suppose fangs, which are on upper and lower fangs, but then like a
but
muzzle.
I don't see lips.
A muzzle that kind of looks like it had a run in with a shovel.
Yeah, got a Belfast kiss.
Is that what it's called?
That's a headbutt.
Oh, and pizza. What is it? Was it a Belfast smile?
There's a lot of variations of that. That doesn't bear thinking about.
It's one actor who's got that.
Yes, he was in Gladiator.
Yeah, he was also in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, was he?
Yes,
he's one of my favorite actors. I really enjoy seeing.
But he's got those huge Joker scars up his cheeks. Yeah, that must be quite a unpleasant experience getting those.
Speaking of unpleasant experiences, you see this fucking chair that she's sitting on?
Yes.
See that? It looks so weird. It doesn't even look padded. I thought that at first.
Yeah.
The sort of crinkling.
I'm getting the impression that we're only seeing half of it, and that on the other side there's kind of like another pillar similar to that, and it's got this
it's got these posts but no back.
Well, so if you have like two posts, which are kind of close, you've got this big gap in the middle, which for these tails would be like an alternative tail chair design. So you can kind of like lean back with the shoulder blade against each of those posts, but still have room for your spine and tail to poke through between them. But we're a literary review podcast, not an interior decoration design podcast.
Well, hold on. Hey.
Yes?
We've just dove right in. So we talked about reading books.
Yes.
And we've started talking about this book, and we haven't talked about any bullshit.
Oh.
Our readers at home must be so proud of us. I am so proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you. We're doing well?
Yeah. Yes.
Good.
No, that's what yeah.
Good.
Well, okay, so I've noticed this the last couple of weeks. I do kind of like it. It's this extremely cheerful, like, look of glee whenever anything resembling approval comes. Yes, there it is. There it is. That's
exactly.
The one. When you're talking about anything, and you've got your eyes have this charming sort of beady quality.
Thank you.
What's been going on with you with this? Just purely out of interest.
Just been doing the regular things around the library, taking care of stuff, making sure that everything's nice and tidy and washed and everything like that.
Washed. That's okay. Then we're back to that again. That one threw me a bit of a loop last time. So you wash your books?
No, that's disapproved of washing books.
Yes, I thought so too.
Other things can be washed, like
water damage,
messes that get like made in the library, especially that stuff around the what was it again? The romantic fiction department. That was a total mess.
Yeah, that's the best not dwelled upon.
Took a while to get that tidied. Took a while to get that tidied up.
Oh, but it's tidied up now.
It is.
Oh, well done.
Yep.
That's actually quite a distance away. I mean, I've been riding my Threegle 3 tricycle through the library on our mission of exploration for a while, because that's what we're doing, isn't it? Yeah, we're still looking for the hallowed mating ground.
Yes, you're the one who's exploring that.
Yes. And I'm keeping notes in my little journal. I lost track of you there for a while, but fortunately we found each other again. I'm just catching all the readers up at home on the unnecessary lore.
That's strange, because I could swear the podcast has been coming out just fine, but
I haven't heard it.
No.
I never do. I mean, I just send this off into the ether,
and
then, do people listen?
Supposedly. But yes, we must continue, because we need more podcasting material, because that needs to be sent out.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right. That's right. People are relying on us to inform them about these books with these fantastic covers. And today we're talking about Between Darkness and Light by Lisanne Norman. Now, I thought that the title was slightly misleading. Mm-hmm. Darkness and light are, of course, very judgmental.
One's generally considered to be positive and the other one negative.
Right, depending on the context. And much like Romula, whom we'll get to in a second, I had a really hard time figuring out who was the goodies and who was the baddies, and also
I think that's the point of the book.
Who was who? Okay, so
that latter part, who's who? Yes, that might be a little bit difficulty from the author, but yeah, the whole who's the good side and who's the bad side. I think that's like intentionally ambiguous, because it's legal drama. If it is clear cut that one side is the underdog, we'll come to that. Yeah, then that's going to like bias you into the trial. Then it becomes more about the issue at hand rather than the struggle itself.
So we begin with Romula DeDeridex, a daytime television star, famous for her, honestly, her apathy. Mm-hmm. Her famous catchphrase, whatever.
It's like
she was the one who invented that in the 90s.
That word never did exist before then?
Not with the sort of 90s cynical disdain of
whatever.
Exactly. So there's all these variations that have sprung up since then, and they're all thanks to Romula DeDeridex, who even in the later years of her career now migrated to daytime soap operas. She still like tugs on the old nostalgia strings with her famed youthful catchphrases, and these programs of hers are enjoyed much in the style of Galaxy Quest.
Widely across the galaxy.
Yes, exactly. So when these two rival empires, the Kakarikek and the Kekarakek, they eventually negotiated that they needed a neutral adjudicator to help deal with this intractable problem that they experienced, because during a recent bout of Spaceball, which some people may remember from episode 27. It's the Paul Anderson one.
Is it that long ago already?
I think that's about how far it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can look it up.
That would be cheating.
Objection! Oh dear.
But yes, during a recent bout of Spaceball, where asteroids are slung about the solar system to create as much damage as possible, a meteor cluster was broken open and revealed beneath it the abandoned husk of both of these empires' ancestral homeworld, long abandoned and long thought lost.
Well, at least they both claim it to be their ancestral homeworld.
So they needed a neutral party, and who could possibly be more neutral than Romula DeDeridex, with her universal disdain and apathy mistaken for impartiality?
You know, if you don't care about either party, you are kind of impartial.
That's the theory. That's the theory, because they're very passionate people, both of these, the Kakarikek and the Kakarakek. They're both very, having someone who's so dispassionate as not to care, that's exactly who they want.
It's going to be a little bit of a problem to actually get them involved enough, but they send the 2 delegates back to Earth.
Ah, yes. Her handlers on either side. That's Rorf with an F, and then there was also Rorf with 2 R's.
Right.
That's how we can distinguish it from each other.
Rorf with an F also has 2 R's.
Yeah, so I had real trouble with this book, Kay. I've got to tell you, I think I've got a handle on it, but I shudder to think what will happen if we turn out to have different ideas about what actually happened. But hey, maybe that's the point of the book.
That is kind of the point of the book, because it's like there's a lot of obfuscation of what's actually going on.
As is proper for a courtroom drama, there's supposed to be a lot of...
There's a few surprises, which she does a good job of setting them up and giving just enough hints and clues in the rest of the book to make sure that you're not completely...
you mean Lisanne Norman, the author?
Yes.
Okay, and not Romula DeDeridex.
No.
See, it's super confusing, Kay. It's just so, it's like, whatever. See? I did a catchphrase.
I mean, I personally dislike books, especially mysteries, where the big reveal is a total asshole. When it's just when you
could possibly have known.
Exactly, yeah. When there's like, suddenly there's new information, which, well, if I'd known that, then, okay, whatever.
You know, a lot of the Sherlock Holmes stories lean on that. And by the way, it's not deduction, it's induction.
Induction, yeah.
Is what he does. Where you, let me see, deduction is where you derive the specific from the general.
Yeah.
You know that geese are white and somebody has a goose, so that's going to be white.
Yeah.
Right? Versus deriving the general from the specific,
right,
like
nice.
Soot on his face, therefore minor.
Yes, could be a chimney sweep, for instance.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but the shoelaces show that. But they come to Earth, quietly sneaking into the apartment, and there's a little bit of a shock for her, realizing that, these are like space aliens.
They look like cat dog people.
And she goes like, oh my god, like furries. It's like, I didn't expect those here after the, you can take the suits off. And they're like, what are you talking about?
One convention, guys. Like
you were taking your opportunity to fursuit there to press by it not even being a fur con, but like, furries, they're like Trekkies. They'll take any opportunity they can to wear their suits.
Yes, exactly. Bust in on a Ren fair and figure out some
exactly.
way. I mean, the Klingons show up at furry conventions.
Oh, yeah. They host great parties there. So.
Oh, yeah. Those fantastic cocktails.
Yes. The warp core reactor. Although I still don't understand why the Klingons were serving Romulan ale as well, but when in any
space station in a storm, and an ion storm. That's the one I should have gone for.
Any space station in an ion storm.
And they ask her that traditional sci-fi question: "Will you help us? You're our only hope."
Yes.
Sort of paraphrasing a much more important question asked by another capable young woman, to which her answer is whatever. Okay, whatever. And she's, oh, yes, you're perfect, just as we imagined.
And they get her to pack her things. And she's like, yeah, fine, whatever. I can do a side gig.
Yeah.
Whatever, what does it pay? And they make her good offers. Like, they went like, okay, well, we heard something about 1 million per show that she was pulling in towards the end of her, towards her career. And they got like, okay, well, the shows are 12 per season, so 12 million. And she goes like, for one job, yeah, okay, I'll do that.
I'll do it.
They had no idea 12 million what, but it's just like, as long as she doesn't know that they don't know, then it doesn't make the blindest bit of difference.
I'm sure that someone will figure it out before
it comes up. We'll sort it out afterwards when the matter of invoicing comes up. And there might be a separate lawsuit about that, but who cares? That's not really their problem at this point.
No, exactly. It's and now it's very much Romula's problem, because she has to figure out like how does space law work when you have million-year-old civilizations by the thousands competing for resources, and in this case a very precious resource that can't be replicated because it's historical, with millennia and millennia of just obscure ritual and biology-specific cultural expressions. I've got to say, I think Lisanne Norman did a wonderful job examining how cultural aspects of alien species would be represented in their legal ceremonies.
Yes.
Well, because we have on Earth already, we have a lot of pomp and circumstance.
Hear ye.
Yeah, before the court starts. There's wigs. We have frock coats in the Netherlands.
All right. Well, that's just polite.
I think that's only said Yeah, I think that's only said like at
When
the
the judges
first session
come in,
of
yeah.
the morning.
Oh.
And after lunch, and for the rest of the time, please remain seated, just so they can get on
Yeah,
after he takes a break. And this is us just with a few thousand years of legal precedent in one particular corner
And these
of
people
planet.
have millennia. Yes.
Yeah. And they have multiple planets.
So first she has a bit of the culture shock experience of when she gets taken out by the aliens and to their spaceship.
Yeah.
And flown into space, and she's like, wait, this is not what I signed up for. At least it's not what I thought I signed up for.
She does have the sense to be a little confused about
Dodging through
about
the satellites and then taking off for the planet.
Oh, no, we didn't get that yet. So the planet currently being argued about by the Kikarakek and the Kekarakek is the recently discovered planet Kikarakek.
Right.
Which is how both of them have established that this is their ancestral homeworld,
Planet.
because it is clearly named after one of their names. But like as important as syllabic emphasis is for these languages, they don't actually write it down very well.
No, it's a lot of how linguistic drift happens over time.
Oh yeah,
and a lot quicker than millennia. So there's I think there's been quite a bit of back and forth here between the two species.
Even on Earth, we have this problem. I mean, there are some languages, and I'm thinking of, for instance, Hebrew, and I think Arabic, where vowels are not encoded, and you're supposed to just know. So here we have a similar problem, except based on syllabic emphasis rather than pronunciation.
Yeah. So they take her to the planet Kakarikek. That's the planet it's all about. Where they, in the meantime, have built a space station in orbit around it to hold the court proceedings and trials in.
Yeah.
Because, we can do it on the planet, but neither of them really trusts the other,
Exactly.
and there have been parties sent out, but they've always been carefully mixed and balanced of both species.
Because nobody wants a war, because they've been through that before.
Yeah,
and
they know that,
no one's benefit.
it's a sense of mutual assured destruction that they don't want that. They're both fairly dignified species when it comes to their
you can tell by their
culture.
tunics.
Well, I mean, that's a completely Earth-like fabrication that tunics are serious matter.
Yeah,
or toga party. But
oh, yeah, nothing quite as dignified as a toga party, is there?
Well, yeah. So back on the space station, she gets assigned to assistants, one from each species.
Ah, yes.
One of them is called Nadler, and the other one's called Reldan.
I really liked Nadler and Reldan. Like they were very considerate to her. They were obviously huge fans. So anytime that she dismissed them, they were just delighted.
Ah, yeah.
Whatever
She's going to say.
She said it.
Yes. Squealing together and like killing school children. And actually, I got the impression that they quickly turned actually to be the best of friends, really.
I mean, they have a lot in common. Mostly their fandom of her, and they have the same job, and they I really enjoyed their friendship. But their relationship is soon strained a bit when they approach her and scare her out of her wit, when they approach her with the dagger of justice in a ceremonial but rather threatening form, where they sort of turn the lights on while she's in bed and jump onto her bed and sort of thrust it into her face. Here, it's yours.
Take it. She, of course, doesn't know the words to the ceremony because something they've kind of forgot that not everybody does that.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of screaming and fighting, and then two very apologetic aliens about disturbing their great hero.
I guess it must be very confusing for them that they did her this great honor, which she did not appreciate.
Of course, it does make for a brilliant scene later on in the book when there is an assassination attempt on her in a very much similar version.
Yeah.
And she just thinks that it's Nadler and Reldan at it again. And she completely dismisses it like, oh whatever. And which leaves the assassin completely baffled and like, wait, I'm supposed to like go and kill you. And
whatever. And she just sort of oxters him out the room.
Exactly. And it's like the assassin is found in the hallway where he's swiftly taken care of by her pair of trial assistants.
Unfortunately, to the point where he's unrecognizable, and therefore it's not really clear which party he was from.
Yes, that's a bit of a shame.
I found that this was one of the cultural aspects that I really enjoyed. The tradition of the surprised witness, where rather than so we know that on Earth a surprised witness is kind of a contrivance.
Yeah, here quite the opposite. Here is the surprised witness, where like someone can suddenly be called out without any previous information, no prep, no nothing.
And this applies to everyone. Everyone can be surprised. This is just a core, like they've got justice pranks kind of.
Oh yeah.
just to make sure that everybody stays on their toes and takes it seriously and never like sort of dozes off. And
yes, a lot of these things are done in secret. Yeah, then suddenly it's like person X or Y is called out.
Much to their own surprise, because they didn't believe that they had anything to do with it, usually.
In this case, most surprised was probably the historian who suddenly got dragged out. Again, dragged out of bed, like black bagged over the head.
Yeah, brandishing the dagger of justice.
This is one of the things that our heroine starts to figure out. She goes on a trip to the planet and like has a look around herself. Again, with lots of the staffs around to make sure that nothing is disturbed or nothing untoward is being done.
In a ceremonial like hazmat suit.
Yeah, and
so
then
that she doesn't contaminate the planet.
Which is kind of like, as far as I understand it, it is literally a ceremonial hazmat suit. It doesn't actually has any hazmat properties. It doesn't have any under pressure systems and controls.
No, in fact, it sheds quite a lot.
That's these two species. They're both quite fuzzy, and it's like the Cousin It costume.
Yes, yes.
It's just a ghillie suit made with hair instead of.
But yeah, it's the ceremonial aspect that kind of matters. I mean, we have on Earth cultures, we have various like absurdities that we sort of treat as factual. Like there was the idea that a lot of scandal attached to childbearing out of wedlock. Right, because then one is no longer a virgin and no longer marry. And depending on the culture, like about a year and a half after the birth of the child, one is considered a virgin again.
Oh, okay.
And that's just
kind of like
it's all
not talked about.
We're just back.
Yeah, just like the myopia that an entire congregation can develop in not seeing that the bride is 6 months pregnant. And
yes. And then 3 months later, I was also at 4 months. I was a very premature baby.
Yes, I can imagine. But
we were all very worried.
Also relieved that everything is all right with the kid. Yes. It's amazing how those things work, isn't it?
And then we witnessed something very surprising, much like in this bizarre legal system. She, after her inspection of the planet, which is a largely lifeless rock, it was smashed by various asteroids.
Well, there was the asteroid rubble thing around it, which was kind of like brushed away, but there's still some evidence left of the past civilizations.
Yes. Between the various craters, there is writing that is clearly either Kakarikakian or Kakarikakian to indicate that both of these sides have a legitimate claim.
Yes.
The historian does not offer anything conclusive and
no, the whole syllable stressing thing is very confusing to our heroine, who is, I mean, her catchphrase gets worked out a lot after, like, it's like the 10-minute discussion on the nuances of this particular engraving that they found. Whatever. Yes,
exactly. And everyone is still so thrilled that she maintains so much impartiality.
Especially since, like, you know, when an expert from one side is heard, an expert from the other side on the same subject must also be heard.
The two lawyers give their concluding testimony.
Rorf, yes. Was that Rorf with an F or Rorf with 2 R's?
At this point, it almost doesn't matter because that's when they introduce her to the switching of the sides, where the plaintiff and defendant start arguing each other's case.
Yes.
Because impartiality is something that they find very difficult. Both the Kakarikakians and the Kakarikakians are very passionate people who tend to escalate any conflict that they find themselves in. So, like, actually arguing the other's case with equal ferocity, if not more so, is it has a sort of calming effect on everyone. It's cathartic.
Well, it's kind of like, it reminds you a little bit of the practice of the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
You know where that expression comes from?
Oh, no. I just know that it's horribly used by some people on the internet.
It's from the Roman Catholic Church. I believe it is when someone is about to be elevated as a saint or something like that. They actually hold a trial. And one of the cardinals is arguing for this. And then another cardinal is playing the role of the advocate of the devil, literally, who is arguing against this person being declared a saint.
Oh.
And as far as I'm aware, that's where the expression devil's advocate comes from.
Oh, I like that.
It's I
wonder if it's frowned upon for someone to be too successful as a devil's advocate.
That seems, if you're letting them off easy, then you might be like elevating people into sainthood who don't actually deserve it.
Yes, imagine that happening.
Well, I can understand that.
Well, it's sort of like looking at some Nobel Prize winners in history who, Odalali, the chap who invented the ice pick lobotomy, got a Nobel Prize for medicine. Horribly mutilating and scarring and debilitating.
Oh god, that's like the procedure is like.
Yep. It doesn't bear thinking about.
No, let's not.
The two Rorfs switch sides, and then confusingly, so do Naldler and Reldan, who then also switch sides with the lawyers. So now her assistants are the two Rorfs.
Yes.
And at least now she can tell the lawyers apart, because now one of them's called Nadler and Reldan, but they have also switched sides, so they've changed each other's names. And I can sort of understand like the historical origin where, I mean, these are species who, when there's three of them in eye contact, two of them will develop some kind of vendetta, right? So the adjudicator is assumed to be unable to resist the urge to dislike one
or the other
personally. And so by having them switch sides, at least you can be sure that the argument is being heard rather than that the person in question is being maligned.
What I also loved was the whole thing, the scene about the courtroom where it's like, very strictly regulated how high everybody's seat is. Oh, there's like people walking around with yardsticks to make sure that the adjudicator has the highest seat.
Yes, relative to her height as well, and her hairstyle is taken into account. See, this is kind of their feline heritage coming out, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
It's very much a cat thing. Like who can sit higher and
like,
see
who can see everybody, who can like get their eye on everybody and make sure there's. I like that. Of course, then in the book, which I really like that part where it's like, I guess it's like the attempts from one side to discredit the adjudicator by implying that there was a sexual relationship between her and one of the assistants. Because people were there and they definitely smelled the scent of sex in the air.
Yes. Now, this, of course, is after the switching at the sides. So now her two assistants are the two dwarfs who definitely hadn't been anywhere near her outside of the court.
We don't have a problem with spoilers here, but I kind of liked her that she did just a little bit of sleuthing of her own, and it turns out that yes, there was sex involved, but it was just between the two dwarfs themselves.
Yeah.
And apparently they were having a bit of a relationship on the side, and
angry sex.
The fur flying, but
bless them.
I guess this must have been one party which thought that it would be beneficial to them to discredit the adjudicator and like disrupt the proceedings.
Which I think is another aspect of their legal ritual, which is the mutual grooming that I think got
a little bit out of hand, yes.
Yeah.
They kind of liked it a little bit too much.
Well, who can blame them? It's really quite nice.
Big sexy beasts, I mean.
Yeah. And so we get to the final stage, which I think we see represented on the cover here, which is the reenactment of the crime, still integrated with the surprising of the witness, one of the lawyers. So I think that's the Nadler or Reldan by now, because so many swappings.
Especially considering we have to like view this through the ear of a cover artist. It could be either one of them.
I mean, through the ear of a cover artist.
I said the eye of a cover artist.
That's not what you said, my dear.
All right. Well, there's the dagger of justice prominently on display here.
Yes, in the hand of one of the former handlers, now lawyers. God, it got out of control, this book. But yes, they stole the dagger of justice and went to perform a reenactment, but there's no crime to reenact.
No, that is it. It's not a crime. It's more a possession law trial.
And yet they don't have any other protocols that don't involve crimes, because they just can't imagine anybody wanting anything that someone didn't steal.
Weird. They're standing there, they're posturing a bit, they're trying to reenact this thing, but the reenactment is really only the trial itself.
Yes.
So,
That's right. They're reenacting the exact trial that they just previously
at which point
held.
Romula has it like, whatever, and she introduces not the surprising of the witness, but the surprising of the court. Because she says like, okay, I want to go back down to the planet.
Kakarikek.
The Kakarikek, yes, where a temple building has been uncovered.
Yes, the Temple of Kakarikek.
Kakarikek, yes, that's the one. In the Sator Square Temple, yes. I believe they call it. It's called Kakarikek, yes. Turns out that there's genetic evidence which links the two species together.
To, by the way, absolutely fucking no one's surprise in whoever read this book. I mean, they are indistinguishable
from each other, but apparently they have this deep-seated problem with each other.
Yeah, and like I found that Romula was a great like audience substitute, audience surrogate. Because I could not understand why these two species thought they were different.
We're at each other, yes.
They have a shared language. They have a shared history. Everything they do is the same. They agree on 100% of all of their ceremonies.
Except the ownership of the planet, and yeah.
Yeah.
This is presented in the court. She presents it to herself. I guess it's like, the surprised court rather than the surprised witness.
Yeah.
And there's some protesting from Nadler and Reldan, but she's like, whatever. And they're like, oh, yeah, but that's against, and she goes, but we can't argue with whatever.
No, she's got it locked tight. She's absolutely impenetrable. And thus, the delegates of the Kakarikek and Kakarikek gather in Kakarikek Temple on the planet Kakarikek. to finally join their two species and erase their differences, because they have come to the realization we are not cats and dogs. We are cat dogs, and we always have.
We are the same, yes.
Which now, I guess, if that was the brief that the cover artist got, like they're cats and dogs, and they're not.
But they're not the same.
Yeah,
but they are the same.
They are the same.
Yeah,
but they're not.
Kind of missed out on that part. I mean, these two could be the same species, especially
Exactly.
if you look at various cats and how different they can be, and especially dogs, who of course been bred for it. But
I'm trying to think if there's any case where you could mistake one for the other. Oh,
the cat for a dog, yes.
Yeah,
there's photos. It's like, what a cute pet. Is the cat or a dog? I don't know. And
is it one of those with lots of hair and very small grumpy faces?
Yes.
Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah, that'll do.
And you're like, I'm not sure, really. Could go either way.
Not sure if cat or dog.
Yeah. But yes, at the final ink, she introduces a new legal concept to the trial.
Yes.
The illegimiti non carborundum, or don't let the bastards grind you down.
Yeah.
And resolving the resolving the conflict.
I wasn't quite sure how that last one resolved the conflict, but it was
the evidence resolved the conflict, and she had it with this whole proceeding.
Yeah.
And like.
As I'm sure any one of us would have, because there was fucking nothing doing. But she leaves them with this pearl of wisdom on which they'll mull for the next 1,000 years. Hopefully, they won't wind up using that as their battle cry for their now unified imperial conquest of the universe.
Well, at least she got them to agree that they weren't going to mess around with Earth.
I wonder if we're ever going to find a sequel where we have the Khakians now unified, conquering the universe on the mission to grind the bastards.
This is a book, as the title says, from the Sholan Alliance, so it might be actually more of these books in the series.
Oh, that's fun.
It's.
I'm really curious about more. I really enjoyed this book.
Yes, it was a great book. How are we going to rate it?
It was a bit bewildering.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've got one. Either 8 or 11, because those are ones that you can mirror and flip, and it's still good.
Oh, that's very good. 8 out of 11.
Oh, wow! Oh, nailed it!
Yes.
Excellent.
Straight on.
So what do we have in store for... Oh, wow, I really like that.
Yeah.
What do we have in store for our readers next week?
Next week's book is by Jack Handay, What I'd Say to the Martians and Other Weird Threats.
Very appropriate. And that about covers it. Thank you for joining us at Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name's Khaki.
And I'm Kay. And remember, we only judge a book by its cover. Okay.
So is this what they call flipping the script?
I suppose.
It's a bit confusing, this one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely.